Hello guys, I am Elijah Zach Matthew from IET TSEC. We are a technical society and we would like to present to you a complete workshop on your BEE, that is your Basic Electrical Electronics lab, which consists of all components like the breadboard, all the resistors, the capacitors, the inductors, the CRO, and even your DMM, all these things which you will require for your practicals, not only now, but even henceforth in the further years. This will be very helpful to you, and we hope that you will stay tuned with us throughout the entire tutorial. We begin with the breadboard. As you can see, the breadboard is just it is just something that you can attach your components in it. All your circuit can be attached on this one breadboard. We can connect it. This is all internally connected, as it cannot be seen here since it is sealed from behind. These are basically consisting of many holes where you insert your components in, and this is how we make connections for our circuits. Okay, and then just to begin with how each of these holes are internally connected. These holes are connected vertically. Vertically, all of them are internally connected. But mind you, these are not connected horizontally. And these are connected vertically. Even they are not connected horizontally. These are not connected with this. So if I say, in this resistor, if I connect at this point, and on the same line I connect here, I will not be able to connect in this manner, since both these terminals will be shorted together. And because they are shorted together, this will not work. This circuit will not work. It will prove wrong. So just to prove that, I say that this is shorted. Then these holes are connected internally horizontally. They are not connected vertically. They are connected horizontally until this W. Even here it is connected horizontally until this W. So these are connected vertically, not horizontally. These are horizontal, not vertical. So this is how the breadboard is internally connected, and we make connections. If I have to connect a resistor in a particular fashion, I connect it in one hole out here and some other hole in some other place where these are, so that means this is now not internally connected to this line. So as a result, we can put our connections together. Alright, so now this is how the entire breadboard is connected. But before that, before we show a connection, I would like to explain to you how a resistor is, what it is, and what are the components you will be using throughout in your practicals. As I would like to say, resistor has many colors on it. These colors specify the value of the resistance. So the value of the resistance is given by this code. B.B. Roy of Great Britain had a very good wife. Okay, B.B. Roy of Great Britain had a very good wife. The numbers are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This begins with black, brown, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, grey and white. So these are the colors and these are the numbers for it. So if you have a proper look at the resistor, it either has at the end either a golden or a silver color line out here. That shows the tolerance which you are supposed to neglect. You will not be using it in any of the further years. Then as you can see, there is red, grey. Or let us have a look at another resistor. It is silver over here, and then this is brown, green and red. So have a look from the other side, not from here. Brown, green, red. Have a look at brown, green, red. What is brown? Brown is 1. What is green? 5. And red is 2. So this is how we interpret it is like this: 15 into 10 raised to 2. 15 into 10 raised to 2. This is how we interpret it. That is nothing but 1.5 kilo ohms. This is 15 to 10 raised to 2 ohms. That is 1.5 kilo ohms. So this is how we interpret it. So as we have seen, we have already found out the value of the resistor, that is 1.5 kilo ohms, how to find it out, and how to implement it in the circuit. We'll just have a look of some other components. This is here is a capacitor. This is an electrolytic capacitor, which has, this is the longer terminal is a positive and the shorter one is a negative. It has a negative sign shown here. So this capacitor has polarities, that is positive and negative. Then there is another one which we do not have here at present. That is polarity independent. Then here we have a transistor, which you will be using in your practicals. This has a flat. Here there is a flat surface and a curved surface, as you can see. Okay, so this is a transistor with three legs, or you can say 3 terminals. Now, as you know, the transistor has an emitter, base, collector, EBC. So how do I identify which one is an emitter, which one is a base, and which one is a collector? Okay, so that we can identify by doing a simple test, that is, put the curved surface towards you. Put the curved surface. So here the curved surface is towards you, and then the terminals go E, B, C. Put curved surface towards you, E, B, C. So that is how we identify the terminals of the transistor. Okay, so we have seen a resistor, we have seen a capacitor, and we have seen a transistor. If we connect it on a breadboard, as you can see, if this is one resistor which we have connected, as you can see, these two are not shorted. This is just a resistance. Okay, only the vertical lines are shorted, as we have seen before. Now if I have to connect another resistor in series with this resistor, what I do is I connect this resistor. As you can see, both these terminals are shorted. And this resistor I connected somewhere else. So as you can see, these are two As you can see, these are two resistors in series, like this. These are two resistors in series. So this is how we connect resistors in series. If we have to connect a capacitor in series along with that, the positive terminal out here, and connect the other end of the capacitor somewhere else. So this is how we connect it. Now if we have to connect two resistors in parallel, as we know, both the terminals are shorted. The parallel connection is like this, right? Both the terminals of the resistor are shorted. So what we do is we connect these two resistors like these. Since we know that the vertical is shorted, we connect both these resistors in this manner. Alright, so this is how we connect it in parallel, and before we showed how we connect it in series. As we have seen different components right now, like resistors, capacitors, as well as other transistor, etc. Now we would like to know how to measure different electrical parameters like currents, voltages, both AC and DC, as well as different resistance values can be calculated electronically using a meter. So we have a meter in the laboratory which is known as a digital multimeter, or commonly known as DMM. We would have a look at it. First of all, you need to make sure that the red and the black probes are connected properly on the digital multimeter. As you can see, there are many sections on this meter. It can measure the voltage, measure the current, we can measure resistances, as well as over here both DC and AC voltage. We'll just have a look at it. The digital multimeter, to measure the voltage, we put the probes of the multimeter across a resistor or across the inductor or the capacitor where we want to find the voltage, and what we do is the positive terminal on the higher side of where we want to calculate the voltage, and that is how, and then we shift it to the voltage. That's how we get the voltage. The current in the similar manner. If ever you want to check if there is a short circuit in your circuit connections, what we do is we take a continuity test, putting the DMM at this point and put it across the resistor to find out if it is short. For example, if these 2 points are short, as you can see, you can hear a voice, a small beep sound. So this is how we check the continuity. To find out the resistance values, turn it to the resistor. We have seen this before, that this was 1.5K. Let's have a look at it. So that 1.5K. So this is how we measure the resistance. Just put the DMM probes across the resistor, put it across the resistance values, and we get it electronically. Though we can use the DMM, but there are certain times when the teachers do not give you during practicals the DMM, and so you need to know how to find the value of resistor the other manner which we showed before.
Hello TSECites, hello FEs. I am Rohit Mishra from IETE TSEC. As a part of electronic laboratory workshop that you are undergoing, I have here with me a very giant device which is unavoidable in any electronic lab. They are the signal generator and CRO. Let us first see the signal generator. Now, as the name suggests, the signal generator generates signals. Signals, as you would have studied in your HSE, there are sine, cosine, square, triangular, and other sorts of wave. So this we have here is a basic signal generator which generates 3 functions: the sine function, the square functions, and the triangular function. Here we have the knobs for frequency selection. The frequency range for these waves ranges from 0.2 to 2 megahertz, and then the 2 controls for fine and coarse control of the frequency. The indicator shows the frequency chosen. The other control on these sides are the attenuation. Attenuation is basically the curbing of signal. Attenuation is basically curbing the signal down. So you can reduce the power of the signal that is to be generated through this signal generator using the attenuation knob. The other is a level control, which is basically an amplitude control. So the amplitude of this signal generator ranges from 2 millivolt to 2 volts. Then we have here is a TTL. Now TTL has a significance. It may not be appealing to you or understanding to you in the first year, but as you proceed, the digital electronics lab basically deals with 0 and 5 volts. Now 5 volts adjustment over here is very difficult. So TTL knob is a standard which generates 5 and 0 volt, square wave of 5 volt and 0 volts. Here we have a probe connection which has an which has an impedance of 50 ohm. So the output probe has to be connected over here. Now let us understand what a probe is. Probe, for you to understand it, it is a simple wire which carries signal through to and fro to a CRO. So whenever a CRO is involved, the peripheral devices need to be connected through this probe. The probe has majorly this, you can see this, it is a coaxial cable with a BNC connector. And this, the red indicates the positive terminal and the black indicates the negative terminal. Let us come to this device, CRO. So now whenever you are using CRO for the signal analysis, basically CRO is used for analysis of the signals generated from your circuit or through signal generators, or integrating and checking the response of various circuits. So here this CRO has a visual representation over here of whatever signals that are you working on. So before starting to work on CRO, we have to first test the probe, whether the probe is perfect. So for this, there are two channels, so you can choose any one of it. Here is a pin which shows 0.2 volt 1 kilohertz. Connect the positive terminal of the probe to this point and see if you get 0.2 volts 2 kilohertz signal, square wave signal over here. This indicates that the probe is perfect. Cathode ray oscilloscope. As the name suggests, there is a cathode in this construction. There is a cathode which emits constant beam of electrons. These electrons passing through various anodes which are there in the internal construction are bombarded on this phosphor screen, and resultant the phosphor screen is illuminated. As this happens in very quick succession within a fraction of seconds, this gives the illusion of a continuity. So a dot gives a representation of the entire wave that goes from left to the right of the screen. Now this CRO, basically you would have seen the applications are wide. You could have seen it working in the laboratories. This is actually nothing but its modified version is the television, the original CRT television that we used to view in the 90s. Then in the hospitals there are patients are monitored based on their heart functions, which is nothing but the modification of this CRO. So this CRO is an integral part which cannot be avoided. Now the first question that may appeal or arise to you is, we have already seen DMM, digital multimeter, then why do we use CRO? Digital multimeter, as you have seen here, digital multimeter helps you to find the values of the components, values of the current, voltage, but they are the average values. There is no instantaneous value. For example, if there is signal from 0 to 2 pi, and if I want the current at pi, I cannot find it in DMM. But here it gives the entire signal from 0 to 2 pi to 4 pi. So accordingly the signal can be sampled and the instantaneous values can be derived. Apart from that, here it has a function of combining the signal, which DMM doesn't have. There are many signals coming from different circuitries which can be combined over here using the two channels, and can be in one of the chop or alt mode over here and can be used, which DMM doesn't provide. Thirdly, DMM only gives you the values of the component. It doesn't tell you whether the component is working proper or not. But here we have component test section which tells you whether a component is proper or not. So now let us see the function, how the signal generator is connected with CRO to view different signals. Here at the signal generator I have selected a sine wave, and you can see here a sine wave that is generated over here. As I change the knob, you can see a triangular wave now and a square wave. Now let us first see the measurement of the signals. Now, first of all, amplitude. Amplitude is nothing but the number of division. You can see there are small divisions, small blocks over here. So, number of blocks between the two peaks. This is the negative peak and this is the positive peak. So the number of blocks here is 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 4 blocks. This then multiplied by the volt per division knob here. The indication given by the volt per division knob is 1 volt. So 4 into 1. The amplitude of this signal generated by the signal generator is 4 volts. Next is the frequency, the time period. The time period is the time period is the distance between the two peaks. It can be either the two positive peaks or the two negative peaks. So here it is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. 5 multiplied by the time per division knob. This gives the time per division that is to be calculated. So here it says it is 1 nanosecond. So 1 nanoseconds into 5. The time period is 5 nanoseconds. So now, as we have seen, there is one more important point over here is to be noted, that the time per division knob is common for both the channels. The channel here is the second channel which has its own volt per division knob. But as you will see that if we connect, as a signal is connected over here, the time per division knob still remains the same. So the time per division knob is common for both the channels. Then there are two pins over here which is ground and AC. There are two pins, the black one is ground and the other one is AC. Now whenever there is a signal which is a combination of amplifiers where there is a DC signal power supply connected to it, there is a AC source connected to it, in that case to segregate the DC and AC components we use this knob. Now for example, if I ground it, I press ground, see, the entire screen is gone. Again, here is the sine wave that is converted, which is nothing but AC. If I ground it, there is nothing but DC component which is 0. That is the average value of the sine wave. And AC is pressed to see the signal in the alternating current form. This is the knob to move your channel, move your signal up and down. The arrow shown here allows you to move the signals up and down. Then this is the pull signal which helps you to move the signal to the left and right. This helps you to move it up and down, and this helps you to move it right and left. Then this is a hold off. For example, now the signal is continuously moving. When this signal is continuously moving and you have to measure the time, it is very difficult, and many a times even time per division, as you can see this, you cannot measure it. So you use a hold knob to lower it down, although the effect is very minor. But it slows the signal to a great extent. That's it. Then there are number of modes over here. Here is a component test section. It shows CT1, common, CT2. Common is nothing but ground, and CT1, CT2 are the components that is to be inserted. For example, if I had to test a resistor, I will put one of the terminals over here and the other over here, and can test the signal. So it shows the normal characteristics of the resistor. Now there are three points over here. That 3 points helps you to test those components which has 3 terminals, like you have seen transistor which has emitter base collector. So the 3 terminals can be inserted over here, and according to the pattern the component can be tested. Then up over here are the modes. Basically some of the modes that is important to you is here is an XY mode. When it is not, whenever any of the mode is, this is push to on. Whenever you push it, only then the mode is on. otherwise it is off. So if I push XY mode, what XY mode does is, here if you see this signal, it is amplitude with respect to time. X axis is a time and Y axis is amplitude. But if I have two signals and I have to compare, I have to draw a graph of signal 1 with respect to 2. So one of the signal will be connected to channel 2 and the other to the channel 1. As you can see, the signals will be somewhat like this. It's like a graph. It shows like X with respect to Y. So this is the graph. So somewhat this kind of signal you will get if you use this XY mode. Then there are other modes, like this is an EXT. Normally the triggering method, this circuit internally requires a triggering mechanism which is given by sweep circuit inside the block. But many a times you need triggers from outside, external triggers, and for that you connect this. This is the external trigger and you have to connect the trigger over here. That trigger input has to be connected over here and you have to go into EXT mode. Then here are two modes. The channel 2 inverted mode. Now this channel 2 inverted mode, what it does is the channel 2 is inverted. Like if you see here, if I channel inverted, the signal gets 180 degree reversed. So if I have a positive square and negative, it gets reversed by 180 degree and it is negative and positive. Here is a add mode which adds the two signals, CH1 and CH2 is added arithmetically and the signal is generated. The second mode is a mono mode. Mono is nothing but same as XY mode, which has been explained over here. And the chop mode, what chop mode does is, it takes the sample. It takes the sample at the rate of 2 kilohertz per second. So 2000 samples of the signal per second is taken and that signal is shown over here. The other mode, when this mode is connected, it goes into the chop mode. When this switch is released, it is into the alt mode. Alt mode is nothing but alternately, channel 1 and channel 2 are switched alternately. Once first sample is taken from channel 1, the second sample from channel 2, then the third sample again from channel 1 and so on. So the alternate modes helps you to alternately switch over the channels, and the chop mode chops the samples of the single channel and helps you to view it. So this is how this CRO works. These are the basic control panel functions used in the CRO and the signal generator, which is an important part of electronics lab. Thank you.